What's up, everybody? Good to see you all here today. Thank you for having us. Let's start with the man of the hour. Rick, why don't you give your intro first, and I'll go after that.
Thanks, Bryce. Yeah, Rick Pineda. I have the privilege of overseeing the sports portfolio for Diageo here in North America, the leader in premium beverage alcohol.
Yes, you are. And I'm Bryce Adams. I have been with Captivate now for about 6 years, but got my career in sports started selling season tickets to the WNBA for the Washington Mystics. So everyone that's jumping on that train, welcome to the party. We both, Rick and I, had a stop at MSG for a little bit. I see my man Terry T, another MSG alumni in the crowd, and have been in the creator space for about 8 years at Captivate. We have recently worked with the NBA on the in-season tournament from a creator perspective. Have done a couple Super Bowl activations with Verizon in 2020 and 2021, so we're really excited to be here today. So Rick, Diageo is home to 250 brands, and you're the caretaker for a sports POV for Diageo. What is that like?
Yeah, as I said during the opening, it's a massive privilege. We're so fortunate to have within our stable of brands really iconic, timeless brands with a ton of heritage. When you think about brands like Johnny Walker or Guinness, coupled with a lot of really new and exciting brands like Casamigos or Aviation Gin. And so the ability to work with all those really remarkable brand teams and commercial teams to find a way to connect to consumers through sport is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I was fortunate enough to step into this role that didn't exist before and really sort of create the strategy around what we do within sports, why we do it, how we evaluate it, and ultimately the impact that hopefully we're leaving through sports on consumers around the country.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because you move from the property or maybe the sell side to the brand or the buy side, and you made the joke about it. It's fun to spend other people's money, but there's a big sales role in terms of what you do and proving out the value of sports internally to your stakeholders. What goes into that? And if you could kind of distill how you see the value of sports into a soundbite, what would you say to everyone else in the room?
Sure, yeah. So we were joking. I was fortunate enough to spend a few years at Major League Soccer prior to joining Diageo on the partnership sales side. It was obviously the moment that soccer's having a really amazing opportunity. And I always joke that I went from selling sponsorships externally to other partners to selling sponsorships internally to all my stakeholders. The currency has just changed a little bit. But at the end of the day, Diageo is not in the sports business, right? We are in the drinks business. And sports is one vehicle through which we connect with consumers, but there's a million others. And I sort of have to jockey for some of those dollars, be it with entertainment, with tech, etc., for how our brands can find new ways to be part of these celebratory moments. And so, we have an amazing roster of over 70 property partners here in the U.S. And I think ultimately, if I were to pun intended, distill it, would be it's moments of celebration and people getting together. Ultimately, that's what sports is, right? And that's what drinks are as well, right? When you think about getting cocktails, different occasions, whether it's intimate moments, celebratory moments. And so the two go hand in hand. And we're fortunate enough that our organization, through our executives, recognize that and have made the investment in sport that allows us to do that.
I think that communal aspect, or Paul talked about sports transcending economics or political affiliations or things like that. In the U.S., the biggest representative of that is the Super Bowl, and why we're all here, whether that is going to be, off-premise at home, people getting together and having watch parties, on-premise, going to bars or places like that to enjoy the game and maybe spirits responsibly. How do you approach those two different tactics when you're thinking about it from, an overall sporting perspective of, the inclusivity of bringing people into your house, or kind of that communal element of going out and enjoying the game with the community?
Yeah, one of the things we love about sport, and in this case, obviously the NFL, is that it does allow for that, right? We know there are super fans around the NFL, we know there are casual fans, and we know there are people that only get together for these big moments like the Super Bowl. And so the ability to speak to them through something so personal as a cocktail is really special. And so to be able to do it, if you're hosting a massive watch party at your home, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that maybe don't watch the NFL on a regular season basis, but you're going to have them there, bring them together. And so to be able to speak to them in those moments around our NFL partnership, it's great. And obviously in the off-premise and at stadiums, the on-premise and on stadiums, that is amplified even more. And so across our portfolio, we have leading brands in every single category of spirits, basically, and beer. And so it provides a lot of flexibility and, to your point, allows for us to include all sorts of different people in the celebration, from people that consume alcohol to people that don't, right? You can have Guinness Zero, you can have seedlip cocktails. We do want to make sure that everybody feels welcome in this environment.
I want to go into the kind of the consumption and the consumer trends in a second, but I want to also talk about the idea of inclusivity being a real core belief in Diageo. They even have tips for inclusive hosting at your house and all the different works. They do a ton of work within, historically black college universities. Like, I'm in along with one. I really appreciate you guys showing up there. How does that then manifest itself in the inclusivity you seek within your partnerships? And we saw PBR on there. We've seen emerging leagues like pickleball. We've seen the rise of women's sports, and you do have probably an entry point into all of those different leagues and properties across your brands. How do you think about that as you're evaluating partnerships or looking to grow business or grow partnerships?
We're very fortunate when we think about the footprint that Diageo has. We operate in over 170 countries around the world. When you think about the role that inclusivity plays within our organization, over 50% of our board of directors is either female people of color. 45% of leadership positions are held by women. Our CEO is the only woman CEO in the major drinks industry, so it really is within fiber of Diageo. I'm Colombian. I immigrated to this country when I was 15. I'm sort of part of what we believe is critical to our success, and we market to people that look like us because that's who's consuming spirits. And through sport, we feel a responsibility to do that, right? And so when we think about, the Bill Pickett Rodeo is historically black rodeo. So the most famous pioneers in rodeo in the 1800s and early 1900s were black men and women that are never represented in that environment. So for us to support them is critical. When we think about women's sports, the work that we're doing around women's soccer, the WNBA, is pivotal to us helping recognize these incredible athletes. And globally, we just announced that we're the title partner of the Women's Six Nations rugby tournament in the UK. In India, we are partners with Royal Challengers Bangalore. It's one of the most famous cricket teams, their women's team. And so we're trying to really recognize and create spaces for these folks to celebrate, no matter where you are, who you are, how you identify. And tonight, we're going to have an amazing event with the NFL and GLAD, a night of pride to celebrate the intersection of the LGBTQIA plus community and football. And so those are just ways in which we recognize that we have a responsibility to speak to every community.
It's a really great opportunity you guys have, and the obligation I can see that you guys take it very seriously to show up in ways that are going to add value to your audience and obviously to your bottom line, which is really important. We got a couple minutes left. I want to shift to consumer trends for a little bit because we were talking about how COVID feels so far in the rear view, but that really shifted the way, definitely how I consumed alcohol, and a lot of people as well. And so, we talked about the shift from quality versus quantity, but also, the low alc and no alc. And, a lot of folks are probably coming off dry January, get dunked off in Vegas or Super Bowl. Good luck to you. I don't know the damn January to kind of prep. But talk about those consumer trend shifts and like how that has kind of now become to the forefront of your business.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that happened during COVID that really accelerated our business. Our business here in the U.S. is maybe 40% larger than it was pre-COVID, which is kind of hard to comprehend. But we found people doing that, finding opportunities to host at home, create more moments, more intimate moments. And so I think a lot of people's cocktail bars probably became a little bit more evolved than they have been. Maybe their cocktail strategy on how to learn and make cocktails has improved tremendously. We've also found that, to your point, their consumers are electing higher marks and more premium spirits than they may have been in the past. You're not out during COVID, spend money on random things, so sure, maybe you'll try a blue label or a black label. And so that was a huge accelerant to our business. But then also, to your point, a lot of folks maybe aren't necessarily sober 100% of the time or choose not to drink 100% of the time, but they want to choose alternatives that want to make sense for their lifestyle. So we're doing more with non-alc and low-alc, both products that are dedicated non-alcoholic or recipes and hosting tips for low-alc options for folks that want to make sure that they're moderating their consumption or choosing not to drink.
I mean, that's great. I think the COVID, again, people think that COVID's behind us, but to see how you guys really use that to inform your business model, and probably your partnerships is really smart and innovative. We're here for Super Bowl. Let's talk about a little bit, if you can, just leave us with how you guys value and see growth in your NFL partnerships. I know there's team opportunities, there's league opportunities, and you were sharing something with me that's really interesting around the international. So I'd love to kind of hear just your POV on kind of where you guys think you want to go or where the opportunities lie within your NFL partnership, maybe any of the work you can share you guys are currently doing as well.
Yeah, I think we love the trajectory that the NFL is on. Obviously, it's the healthiest that it's ever been. We talked about this, 90-something of the top 100 linear shows were games, more cultural crossover into pop culture. And so for us, it's been really exciting to be part of that. And again, when we're thinking about moments in which the NFL can cross over into these celebratory occasions for people to get together, it's been great. We have over 20 partnerships at the team level. We have the league partnership, which gives us a lot of flexibility in the number of brands that play within the sport. We've had over 15 brands individually activate in football one way or another. And so it gives us a lot of pliability in how we engage with the consumer. And then, again, as a global company, we're partners with the NFL in Canada and the UK. Really excited about what's happening in Germany and what'll happen in Brazil. So it just gives us more opportunity for us to engage more broadly with the NFL.
You talked a lot about the celebratory element. There's also the misery element, because I watched the NFC Championship with a bunch of friends from Detroit. So your sales probably spiked after that one too, especially around the Detroit market.
I'm a Jets fan, by the way.
Oh man, yeah, so you're just in a consistent slump. Sorry,
Look, we'll get there.
I'm a reformed Washington, I don't even know what to call them anymore fan, and so I just like my fantasy team. I can take a couple of questions, maybe one or two if anybody has any.
So from a branding perspective for sports marketing, how do you see digital versus physical activations? And also specifically, you spoke about MLS and some of the more niche sports. What do activation campaigns around some of the smaller sports or some of the more niche sports look like for you?
Yeah, I think they allow us to reach audiences that are more targeted and allow us to reach them with brands that maybe don't have the budgets to do big campaigns with the NFL, right? And so we just launched a Smirnoff product called Smash Vodka Soda, and we are partnering and doing a lot of pickleball. If you ever play pickleball, and it's endemic. And so it allows us flexibility in the number of brands that we have that we can play with in those targeted sports. With MLS, obviously, we're so excited about the trajectory of soccer. We have a great partnership with MLS and a lot of clubs. When you think about the roadmap through 2026 and the younger, more diverse, more globally minded consumer that is engaging with the sport, we feel it's a great vehicle for Captain Morgan, a brand that really wants to celebrate that individuality and uniqueness in the fan. So flexibility is really how we look at kind of the breadth of sports properties that we can partner with.
One more question or 1 minute? Both?
I'm like,
Both.
all right, I'll answer the question and then I'll prompt something.
Sounds smart. Any other questions?
All right. Your go-to, if you choose to consume cocktail for the Super Bowl, and I'm gonna if you haven't tried it, I'm telling you, go to the store and get a bottle of Smirnoff Spicy Tamarind. I think it retails for like $12.99 or something like that. Very approachable. Put it in a Paloma instead of tequila. So grapefruit, soda, spicy tamarind, and then thank you later on LinkedIn. I promise.
There you go. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thanks for bringing me. Thank you.